Hi everyone. In today's video, I'm going to analyze Liverpool 2, Brighton 2. The result left a lot of Liverpool fans very disappointed, including myself. And I've watched a lot of people try and break this game down. I felt they almost touched on what Brighton did to us, but not quite. Liverpool lined up in their usual 4-3-3 false nine formation. Uh, Jurgen Klopp picked Konate ahead of Matip, which I thought was an interesting selection. And we had Naby Keita and Curtis Jones flanking Jordan Henderson, who played in the number 6. Now, Brighton's team selection is very interesting. So they had Robert Sanchez in goal, who's their regular number one keeper, Duffy and Dunk, very solid centre backs, Veltman, who's more of a defensive fullback, and Cucurella, who provided amazing width down the left side, as we'll come on to later in the video. Uh, they had Enoch, Mbepu, and Bissouma, two very hardworking, grafting type of central midfield players. Sorry, much not as the left back anymore. Now more playing more advanced as an attacking midfielder on the right flank. Jakob Moder is the player who I'm very interested in here. Now, he is not a left winger. So Jakob Moder moved into midfield to provide more security and assurance right next to Bissouma, and Mvepu looked to push on. Adam Lallana, he played in the kind of free 10 role. He was always looking to be the spare man. They always had a pass to him, and he orchestrated all their attacks, and he was kind of the hub around which all the different players interchanged and moved around him. And then Leandro Trossard, who's a very talented Belgian player, midfield player, attacking midfield player. But here, they used him not as a false nine, but as a nine. Brighton play the same way no matter where they go. So they've gone under Graham Potter, they've gone to Man City, they've gone to Chelsea, and this is how they play. They play out from the back no matter what opposition they're facing. Now, this worked against them in the first half. Now, what Shane Duffy gives you in terms of his size and aerial ability, he also lacks in terms of bringing the ball out of the back. He's not the best with the ball at his feet. Uh, so what happened was in the first half, Liverpool were able to completely swarm them with their pressing scheme, and like just they had their hand on their throat and they didn't let them bring the ball out of the back. So Sadio Mane pressed Shane Duffy, who's not very comfortable on the ball. He laid it off to Sanchez. Sanchez tried to find Veltman. The ball went out of bounds a couple times down the right flank. Mo Salah's job was just to cut Cucurella out of the game, and he did that well. Bobby Firmino, we know, is a pressing machine. He pressed all three of them. This triangle just didn't work. Uh, so yeah, Liverpool were 2-0 up, and arguably we could have been 3-0 up. There was actually a disallowed goal here where Mane did the full court press on Sanchez, and the ball ricocheted off his hand and into the net, but it could have hit any other part of his body and the goal would have stood. Jurgen Klopp actually said in the post-match press conference that that was the best goal. If that goal stood, it would have been the best goal in his whole tenure, and that just gives you an insight into the kind of manager he is. He's very much a pressing philosophy manager, and if you ask me what kind of team we are a pressing team. That's what we do. So for the rest of the first half, it looked like Liverpool would go on to make it 3, 4, and 5. They couldn't, and there was a goal for Brighton against the run of play when Mbepu shot from this kind of location, about 25-30 yards outside of goal. And I've seen some people claim it was a shot. There was no way it was a shot. You don't shoot from there, not like that, in a match situation. So yeah, it was a cross, but luckily for him, it looped over Alisson's head and found the back of the net. In the second half, Liverpool couldn't press as intensely as they did in the first. Now, this happened for two reasons. One, in the first half, they'd expended so much energy in the hope of being 3, 4, 5-0 ahead that they just didn't have enough fuel in the tank to keep it at the same level in the second half. And number two, there had been a lot of injuries in midfield. There was one in the game actually. So Naby Keita had to go off, and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain came on in place of him. Also, Curtis Jones was just returning from an injury, so he wasn't as sharp as he would normally be. Liverpool acceded a little territory to Brighton, and the whole team had to drop a little bit as a consequence of that. And that's mainly because in a pressing team, you're connected to everyone else. So if the midfield drops, the attack has to drop a little bit as well. Now, this gave Brighton much needed breathing room, and now they were able to bring out the ball a little more easily than compared to the first half. Now, as a result of Liverpool, especially the midfield three, just sitting off a little bit, a lot of holes started to appear in their structure. I want to talk about a very brave decision that Graham Potter made. And this is something I haven't seen a lot of visiting managers do at Anfield to Jurgen Klopp. Now, the way Liverpool play, what they're looking to do is they're looking to absolutely annihilate and overload your backline. Now, how they do this is at times you'll have Robbo and Mane looking to create wide overloads on the left, and at times you'll have Salah, Trent, and Henderson looking to do the same on the right. Trent is a little different to Robbo in that he has freedom to come inside, especially this season. If that happens, then you have Jordan Henderson, or in this case, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, with the license to go out wide. Either way, you take the point that will Liverpool usually look to overwhelm the backline, the opponent's backline, by creating overloads in the wide areas. Now, what happens as a consequence of that is a lot of managers will come to Anfield or play Liverpool at their own ground, and what they'll ask their wingers to do, like March and Trossard to do, is to sit back and double up to help their fullback out. So you'd have maybe Trossard helping Cucurella out, or March helping Veltman out. This is what would happen normally. But that's not what happened in this game, and this is why Graham Potter deserves a lot of credit. Because now you'll remember when we were talking about the first half, we saw that Liverpool were absolutely all over Brighton. They had all the territorial dominance, right? So Graham Potter's gone in, he's had a look at that, and what he said is, you know what, we're not going to have that. I'm not going to have that, because he understood that if he doesn't do something to change and affect the flow of the game, then Liverpool would just walk all over Brighton as they have in the past. Instead, what he did was he said, you know what, I'm just going to leave March, Lallana, and Trossard up the field, right? And now, why this is verging on the madman is because what you're effectively saying as a corollary to that is, I'm phases of the game, you could be 5v4. Liverpool could be 5v4 with Brighton's back four. And that's crazy, and no one does that. You need players up the pitch to kind of mess with Liverpool's game. Otherwise, Liverpool are just going to have their way with you. And that's what Graham Potter understood. And then Adam Lallana, as we spoke before, this gap started to appear behind Liverpool's midfield three and the centre backs. And this happened because you look at the players here, Curtis Jones, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, they're not defensively the most aware players. Very talented, yes, but defensive screening is not exactly a forte of theirs. What Brighton understood then was that they had to start feeding Lallana in the space, and then he could act as a hub to feed Mbepu as a runner if he was offering, or March or Trossard. And this is how the game began to evolve. Now, a part of the reason that enabled Brighton to take such a bold approach, they were backing Dunk and Duffy to win everything in the air versus Mane, Firmino, and Salah, because they're Dunk and Duffy. So they were like, you know what? Let them have the wide areas. Let them have the wide areas, and then what are they going to do? Swing the ball in. Now, thanks to some very painful experiences Liverpool have had in the last season, they didn't even want to do that. So what was happening is they were enjoying a lot of space down the sides, but they just didn't know what to do with it, because they were clearly instructed not to just throw the ball in there because Duncan Duffy. Now, this is also why, this is an important tactical point, this is also why Trent Alexander-Arnold has been coming in field a lot this season. That's to change the angle of the cross. So what Brighton also did was they asked. Remember when I told you in the first half, Yakamoto was coming in and sitting here alongside Bissouma. So this is why they had Yakamoto tucking in and stifling any attempt Trent Alexander-Arnold made to come in field and change the angle of the cross. So now what Brighton basically did was with these five and with Veltman and Cucurella on the sides, they created this box and that kind of like trapped LFC anytime they tried to go through the middle. So they encouraged the play to be funneled out wide, and then LFC just didn't know what to do with it because they were clearly told not to just fling the ball in. So Robertson didn't really have the beating of Veltman. I thought Veltman defended really well against him, but even if he did, I don't know what he would have done really. And then Mane was trying to dribble in, but Mwepu and Bissouma handled him pretty well, Moda too. And the same with Trent when he tried to come inside. And the same with Salah. They basically did not let anything happen in the center, and they said you can just have it out wide. And I thought that was really clever. Now, as a result of leaving these three guys up the pitch, anytime Liverpool lost the ball, Brighton were 3v2 versus the Liverpool backline. Now, that in itself wasn't a major victory. You still have to get past Van Dijk. And this is also why you spend 40 million on a defender like Konate, because in Liverpool's system, Jurgen Klopp understands that this is going to happen. We are going to be, the centre backs are going to be left 2v2 at times, sometimes 3v2. And we need the best centre backs out there who can really handle themselves in large amounts of space and in individual duels. And Ibrahima Konate has this tendency to step out with the ball, which in itself is not a problem because actually stylistically that's a perfect fit in our system, because if you notice, Matip does this exact same thing. He steps out with the ball too. So that's fine that he steps out of the ball. But what happens is, once he loses the ball, he has a very laissez-faire attitude to getting back and plugging holes in the defense, and it's already 3v2. So you're already kind of vulnerable. So what happens as a result of Konate losing the ball is this big gap opens up here. Huge gap opens up here. Now, but let's talk about what happened in the build-up to that gap. So Robert Sanchez plays an amazing ball out to Cucurella, who is running the left wing for Brighton in this space. Basically, the space vacated by Trent Alexander-Arnold on a counter-attack. Cucurella finds Adam Lallana in this space, like a centralist space. Now, what happens is, people who've been blaming Andy Robertson, they've been doing so because Andy Robertson gets around the cover and people are saying he didn't play the offside trap. But actually what happened was Adam Lallana is clever enough to delay the pass for a couple seconds, and that effectively breaks the offside trap because Andy Robertson as the covering defender has to go, and Adam Lallana, being an ex-Liverpool player, knows that. So Adam Lallana waits and holds the pass for 2 seconds, which makes Robertson, the covering defender, break his own defensive line. So now Leandro Trossard in this space is no longer offside. He plays it to Trossard. Trossard chops fake shots and chops onto his right foot, and then Brighton scored a goal. But in the build up to this whole thing, Ibrahima Konate was caught out of position. I don't know what he was doing. He stepped out of the ball. He lost it, but which is fine. You can lose the ball. That's fine. But you have to get into position and not give Brighton this space. And so, if I had to chalk this goal down to anyone, it would be to Ibrahima Konate. I'm a big fan of his, but definitely a mistake. So, in all, I was just really impressed by Graham Potter's decision to leave these three guys up top, and with how he worked out the rest of his team so they wouldn't get dismantled defensively.